What we have studied in the last class, AC characteristic of op-amp. In that AC characteristic, the first one is frequency response, right? So what we have studied in that, after some certain range of frequency, if you increase the frequency beyond that specified cutoff frequency, the gain will start reducing. So in equation form we have proved that how the gain depend upon the frequency, but now we will see this pictorial form or in the form of graph. Okay. Bode plot of the frequency response. Okay. I'm going to show you the frequency plot and the phase plot of both the things. So up to some certain range of frequency, the gain will be constant. Here the x-axis for this is in frequency in hertz, and your y-axis represent the gain. Suppose this point is our AOL, open loop gain. Okay, so here we have to represent the gain with dB scale, 20 log of AOL in terms of frequency. Right? So now see, frequency is in hertz. So this is 10 to the power 1, then next point will become 10 to the power 2, then so on, 10 to the power 3, 10 to the power 4, and so on. So this is your FC, cutoff frequency. So up to this frequency, you can notice that the gain is constant. Okay. After that, if further I am increasing the frequency, the gain will start to decrease. Okay. So this is called as magnitude plot. Okay. Then next one is phase plot. Up to what range I have defined my frequency, this will give rise to a phase angle of 90 degree. Then beyond that, what will happen? Just a minute, guys. You just draw in a single hand. Okay. For me, it is little bit difficult because it is a writing pad. Okay. In this way, it will maintain its phase margin. So in this x-axis, it represents same FC, your frequency in hertz, and this one is phase angle. Hey, somebody please mute your mic. Guys, check your mic. Those who talk to me right now, you just mute yourself. So here we may get a phase angle of 90 degree where we are getting exactly the cutoff frequency. So this is called as frequency response of op-amp. Okay, this is the graphical representation. So how do we understand that? So as the frequency increases up to Fc, the gain is almost constant, but after Fc, the gain reduces with a rate of minus of 20 dB per decade. So this part, the starting of this decreasing point is minus of 20 dB per decade. When you'll study the low pass filter, the arrangement of R and C component, at that time you may understand that why it is minus of 20 dB, not plus of 20 dB with respect to what we are writing. Just for this timing, you just remember, if the frequency will increase in X direction, the gain will start reducing after Fc. Okay. Then the maximum possible phase shift at here will offer is minus of 90 degree. So what do we observe from the graph? Guys, whether you understand the concept or not? Okay, fine. Observation. So here open loop gain is AOL, right? And it is almost constant from 0 Hz to cutoff frequency Fc. Then what is the second point of observation? In the second point, we observe that when F equal to Fc, the gain is 3 dB down from its value at 0 Hz. That's why the frequency at Fc is also called as minus of 3 dB frequency. Then the third point, we observe that after the F equal to Fc point, what will happen? The gain AOL, or the open loop gain, which will decreases at a rate of 20 dB per decade or 6 dB per octave. So here decade means 10 times change in frequency, octave 2 times change in frequency. Okay, and the slope will gives rise to us at minus of 20 dB per decade or minus of 6 dB per octave. So these are the observation we have noticed from the graph. Then the second point of AC characteristic.
Ma'am, once show the graph, ma'am, how it will be 3 dB down or minus 3 dB frequency, ma'am.
Yeah. In detail that I will tell you in filter only. Okay. Here it will take time. If you know the frequency, how the frequency will change, that I will prove you in filter only, guys. Just presently you just remember, when we are increasing the frequency, the gain will decrease after Fc. Up to Fc it is constant. You just remember this basic concept only. This thing I will prove in the filter. Yeah, because why I'm telling it is in filter. In filter only you may study that low pass and high pass filter, no? And the position of the R and C component will get changed at there. Okay. So if now here itself, if I will tell you now, it will take some time for me. That's why I'm not explaining this term at here. But you just remember how the 20 dB per decade, how the, it is not only fixed to 20 dB per decade. If it is second order filter, it is 40 dB per decade. Like that it will come down. Okay. It means when the order of the filter will change, the decade factor 20, then 40, then 60, then 80, like that it will come down. So at that time only clearly I will mention this thing. 3 dB, no, we are actually taking that, we are taking the power ratio, no, to represent the output in the form of power, means 10 log 10 P2 by P1, but power in terms of voltage when you represent, it is V square by R, right? So V square will come to this side, that 10 log will become 20 dB, right? Means 20 log like that it will be there, no? So in that we are taking some calculation and we are representing it as 3 dB in dB scale calculation. That's what I'm not proving it here. Okay. Okay guys, then
Okay.
The next one is the slew rate. This is the second characteristic which is coming under AC characteristic of op-amp. So slew rate, the definition, it says the maximum rate of change of output voltage with respect to time. So that it is specified in terms of unit, we can specify this as volt per microsecond. And slew rate is represented as S. So as per the definition, the maximum rate of change of output voltage with respect to time. Okay. This is not the only format to represent the slew rate. We can also represent the slew rate in terms of current. Or I can say that S equal to Imax by C. It means here Imax represents the maximum internal capacitor charging current. Okay. So for example, for IC 741, if the data given Imax equal to 15 microamp and the internal capacitor is 30 picofarad. What should be the slew rate with these two data? S equal to Imax by C. So here it is 15 microamps and capacitor is 30 picofarad. Pico represents, guys, 10 to the minus 12. So what should be the answer? If I will write, it is 0.5 volt per microsecond. So the slew rate also represented in terms of volts per microsecond, and here with this given data 15 microamp and 30 picofarad, the slew rate will become this value. So if we observe the effect of slew rate in a graphical manner, how it will be? What is slew rate? Once again I am repeating, the total change in or maximum change in the output voltage with respect to time. So for unity gain op-amp, it will be similar with the input. So once again, the S can be represented as the change in the output voltage with respect to change in time. Then suppose my desired signal is like this. I am going to draw the graph. I have my required signal is like this. Without any applied input, guys. You know that when the V output is exceeding the plus minus 30 volt, it will become saturated. So in that situation, suppose this is plus Vm and this is minus Vm, but my output is getting distorted. In spite of getting this one, what will happen? This will become distorted and like this. So in amplitude wise also it is changing, as well as in time axis also it is changing. So how much it is distorted, if I will redraw the graph. Now what is the new axis? Where it has shifted? It is tilted like this, no? And it is slightly deviating from the desired one. It will be like this as per the new figure. So it means there is a change in the x-axis, which is the del t, and as well as this whole change from this plus Vm to minus Vm. How much change is there in my new output? Suppose again this is Vm and this is new Vm. So that's why in this way we can represent the change in output voltage with respect to change in time. So here we can learn that the higher value of the slew rate, which will give rise to the better performance of the op-amp, so that we can represent the S in terms of 2 pi f Vm, volt per second. It means slew rate in terms of frequency. Okay. So for distortion free output, the maximum allowable input frequency FM can be obtained. How do I write the, if this is FM, FM can be written as how much from this equation? S divided by
2 pi Vm.
2 pi Vm. What should be the unit? In Hertz. Okay. Now we will see some example problem from the slew rate. So up to this you got, guys, slew rate.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So here the question is, the op-amp operates as a unity gain buffer with 3 volt peak to peak square wave input. If the op-amp is ideal with slew rate of 0.5 volt per microsecond, find the maximum frequency of operation. So here I am writing the question for you. Unity gain buffer with 3 volt peak to peak square wave. If op-amp is ideal with slew rate of 0.5 volt per microsecond, find the maximum frequency of operation. So guys, what are the data given at here? The first thing, the given circuit is an unity gain op-amp. And which data is given? Peak to peak voltage is given. Right? So what is the requirement as per the frequency given? Find the maximum frequency, no? We know the formula F equal to S by 2 pi Vm. So V peak to peak is given. What should be the only Vm?
1.5.
Yes. So B peak to peak means 2 Vm, right? So in this case, Vm equal to 3 by 2, which is equal to 1.5 volt. So all the data are known now. What should be the value of Fm? What is the S given, guys? 0.5 volt per microsecond. Tell me the answer. 0.5 per 10 to the minus 6 whole divided by 2 pi into 1.5. How much it will be? In kilohertz you represent and tell me. Check the answer whether we are getting 53.051 kilohertz or not.
Yes, ma'am. 53.0516.
Yeah, so this is the maximum frequency of operation. This is your answer. Suppose one more example in continuous with the first example as I have given, that IC max and capacitor value. I'm just reading the question for you guys and I'll write the data for you. For a typical op-amp, IC max is 15 microamp. It has given. And C equal to 35 picofarad. The peak value of the input is 12 volt. Determine the slew rate and maximum possible frequency of input voltage that can be applied to get undistorted output. So here, what are the data given from this? How much we can calculate? The peak value is given means it means Vm is given, guys, not peak to peak is given, right? So from this, at least we can calculate S in terms of Imax by C. How much will be the value? (35 picofarad). The answer is 0.4285 into 10 to the 6 volt per second or 0.4285 volt per microsecond. And also we know that Fm is equal to maximum allowed frequency S by 2 pi Vm. So S is known 0.4285 into 10 to the 6 whole divided by 2 pi into 12. The answer will be 5.684 kilohertz. So this is the frequency up to which the output will be undistorted, beyond which it will be distorted. In this way you have to calculate, guys. This range of frequency you can use to get an undistorted output. So this is regarding your frequency response and the slew rate. Okay. Then the next topic, DC-AC amplifier. Guys, can you give me an example of DC amplifier with respect to op-amp? Basically, we have seen that op-amp can amplify two types of signals, DC and AC both, right? This is the advantage of the op-amp, that it can work with both DC and AC signal. Okay, so in DC amplifier, the output signal changes in response to the change in its DC input level. Okay, so in DC amplifier, It can be inverting, non-inverting, or differential amplifier. We have seen that, guys, in the subtractor circuit, in the inverting, non-inverting, both the cases we can apply this. So what are the methods we have learned to compensate the offset voltage to 0? We may introduce the R compensating resistor, or we may use the offset null circuitry to suppress the effect of offset voltage. So these are the property in the DC amplifier. Then come to AC amplifier. In AC amplifier, what we have learned? We have learned the frequency response of the op-amp. Okay. So if the AC input signal is superimposed or embedded with the DC level, so it is so essential to block the DC component because we need only the AC component to work out. So this can be achieved by using an AC amplifier with a coupling capacitor. So what is the purpose? To extract the AC signal, we have to use the capacitor, which will filter out the AC signal only. So this can also be the inverting and non-inverting type. So I'll just show you the structure, guys, how the inverting AC amplifier and non-inverting AC amplifier, and how does it block the DC component and allow only the AC one. So first one, inverting AC amplifier. What I said, we have to use the coupling capacitor in terms of the input inverting configuration and non-inverting configuration. So if we are applying the input at the inverting input, we can introduce the external capacitor at the input side along with the available resistor R and C, and here as well as the same thing RF, and this end is fully grounded. So this is the view of inverting AC amplifier. So in this figure you can see that C is introduced in the input arm. So this C will block the DC component of the input, and together with the resistor R1, this will set the lower 3 dB frequency of the amplifier. So here suppose this is node A. So this node A is at virtual ground because this end is 0. So if I will write down the V0 is the function of the complex variable in terms of V0, if I will write V equal to IR, but R is nothing but RF. So how I can represent first my I, guys, because we have the capacitor also at here. Now remember the first AC characteristic frequency response we studied. So if I will write down the I value in this arm, what should be the I value? I equal to V by R, right? So here we have to write the I value in this C. What should be the value? Vi by R1 plus 1 by SC. Yes or no? Or you forgot? In the first class I explained about the AC characteristic. Right? So here we got our term V0 by Vi. I have to represent the equation in that term. So V0 by Vi, if I will take, the remaining term is RF whole divided by R1 plus 1 by SC. But I want my equation in terms of RF by R1, not in this form. So how do I make it? That RF whole divided by, this is RF into SC, guys. This SC will go to top side, and I have to make R1 into C as the common because I have to take S plus 1 by R1C. Okay. So which term will get cancelled out, and how much do I get it from here? So this is the gain equation now, V0 by Vi. So the closed loop gain equation is now ACL, which is equal to V0 by Vi, and which can be represented as, guys, you tell me, if it is RF by R1 term minus of RF by R1 S divided by S plus 1 by R1C. Because this is inverting amplifier, right? this I is there minus of I into RF. So this negative term will continue till the end. So the lower 3 dB frequency is this one. FL equal to 1 by 2 pi R1C. So what happened, guys? In the mid-band range of frequency, the capacitor C behaves as a short circuit. So what will happen if C will be short circuited at the middle? So the gain will depend upon only this minus of RF by R1 term. So this is the use of the inverting AC amplifier. If you take the frequency term, this will be this one. But if you write the gain, this is depending upon these two factor only. But before the mid-band range, the gain equation will be up to this. Similarly, how do we introduce the capacitor in the non-inverting AC amplifier? So here the circuit will be like this. Now the inverting input is grounded, but the non-inverting input, it contains the capacitor term. And here R2 will also be there. This R2 will provide the DC return path to the ground. That's why we have to use the R2 at here. Okay. But this circuit, what happens? This circuit, however, it will reduce the overall input impedance of the amplifier, which is now at R2. We have to define in terms of R2. But totally it cannot block the AC component. So that's why what we have to do, we have to use additional circuitry in the non-inverting AC amplifier to eliminate that, or that this R2, this available R2 is reducing the overall impedance, right? So what we have to do, we have to use one compensating network, or we have to use one additional circuit component by adding the capacitor C3, which may help to block the DC component fully. Okay, or I can say that okay, that I will show you what will be the additional circuitry. Now we will not use this R2, we will use only this PI and additionally C3, and here the R2 will connect this. Yeah, in spite of connecting it here, we may join the R2 at here at this node. So how this will help? So this C3, the previous problem, the overall impedance reduction can be eliminated by adding this capacitor C3, which is large enough to act as the short circuit to AC signals. Okay. So in the non-inverting terminal and the node N, we can see that this is the non-inverting terminal and this is the node N. Both the node you check will be at the same potential. So R2 carries almost no current across this. So what happened, guys? Hence the circuit will have an extremely high input impedance. Previously the impedance was getting reduced. As per the op-amp concept, we should get high input impedance and low output impedance. But this R2 in this position, it was making the circuit to reduce the input impedance, and through this it can be overcome. So this is all about the non-inverting AC amplifier. Then the last topic, guys, voltage to current converter. Or V to I converter. So in this voltage to current converter, mainly the total output load is proportional to the applied input voltage. We have to achieve this from the circuitry. So as per the concept, the load connection is two type. One is floating load, another one is ground load. The V to I converter is of two type. One is floating load, another one is ground load or grounded load. Floating load means the load should not touch to the ground. Ground load means in the circuit what we are going to see, it should touch the ground. This is the only difference in between the circuit arrangement of the V to I converter. So if I will show you one circuit, guys, we have to place only IL should be proportional to VI. So first one with floating load. V to I converter with floating load. Just look at the circuit, you can easily understand the concept. So in spite of RF, I am using the RL in my feedback register. It means the load register I have connected in the feedback path and it is not touching the ground. It means it is in the hanging condition with the feedback path. That's why it is called as floating load. Okay. And here my VI is applied at the inverting input terminal. And this end is grounded. What I have to place the relationship in this circuit, guys? I have to make IL should be proportional to VI. Okay. So across this load register VL, suppose we have the voltage appearing is VL. Okay. So let's analyze the circuit. This is the inverting type floating load, but if I want to draw another one, the non-inverting type, what I have to do, what are the changes I have to make? I have to just apply the input voltage to the non-inverting input terminal. This is my VI and remaining things will be similar. RL, this is R1 and this is grounded. So now this will become II, the direction, and this will become the IL, and now VL will become this one. Okay. So how do we place the relation? So if you see the circuit, suppose the first case if you want to see, here I can represent IL equal to II, load current equal to input current. So if I will write II is nothing but VI by R1. So directly I can write that IL is proportional to VI. Proved. That's all. So this circuit works as a voltage to current converter. And if the load is a capacitor, it will charge or discharge at a constant rate. Okay. So this type of converters are used to generate the sawtooth or triangular waveform. Suppose what I said, the load is RL is a resistor in the current case, but if I will change this to capacitor, this will become charge and discharge at a constant rate, and that time we may use this triangular wave generator, sawtooth wave generator, and so on. So here the proportionality constant is generally 1 by R1 term. And hence the circuit is called as transconductance amplifier. It is also called as the voltage controlled voltage source. BC, C, voltage control current source amplifier. II depends upon only VI and R. So the next one is V to I converter with grounded load. Just keep patience guys, just last topic only. Okay. V to I converter with the grounded load. Or shall I keep it here? In next class only we will study. You tell me. Guys, whether you all left by leaving me alone. What you are telling? Tell me. Shall I take the topic in the next class or today itself?
Next class, ma'am.
Next class.
Okay.
Next class.
हाँ हाँ fine fine fine.